Thanks for joining us for today's episode of The Capitalist Investor. I got Diamond Hands D and Cool Hands Luke.
What's up, Mark?
What's up?
Dude, today is number 100. The
It's a big
100th
day.
episode. 100. Ciento. Centennial.
We should have hired a band or something.
I know. Little mariachi.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be fantastic.
So 100 episodes.
we
That's
made
awesome.
it. We made it.
Really cool.
Yeah, not too shabby. Let's see if we can make it another 100.
All right, let's do it.
First 50 or 60 were kind of easy, and then it's when the world started to reopen, things got a little tougher.
Yep.
But we're still having fun doing it, so hopefully we can continue to crank out some good content for all of our listeners. And we thank every single one of you for listening week after week and tuning in to hear what we intend on talking about on that given day. So we appreciate every single one of you.
And the beautiful thing about our industry is there's always something to talk about, right? So there's no new topics every single week.
Yeah.
And today I think we're going to go a little bit longer than we usually do as well because we got a lot to talk about.
Lots to talk about, man. Lots to talk about. So why don't we dive into it? So I think the first thing I want to talk about, guys, and I'll let you guys kind of fill in the facts, but I want to talk about U.S.-China relations. And most specifically, what I want to talk about is their hypersonic missile that they were testing a couple weeks back with nuclear capabilities. Right? And really what that means for U.S.-China relations, what that means, I guess, globally as well. So, D, you want to kind of run through and hit on some of the facts of the story?
Absolutely. So this is a tough one for me because I'm kind of a fan of technology and science, moving things along. This is not one of those occasions because this hypersonic missile travels at speeds that are 5 times that of the speed of sound.
It's pretty fast.
Which is really fast.
Yeah.
Technical term there. Because it goes really fast, it's really hard to shoot down if it's coming at you.
Yep.
So, and I'll let Luke jump in here too, because I know he pulled a lot of these facts.
Yeah, I mean, the other big issue that we're seeing when another country develops these hypersonic missiles that travel at very fast speeds is now that there's technology out there to where we can shoot essentially satellites and these missiles into the atmosphere, make them come over to us, and then come back down on us from the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And that's the other big concern that a lot of people aren't talking about when it comes to China and these hypersonic missiles is that, when you factor in the speed of the missile itself and the fact that it can travel in outer space, we don't necessarily have the best protection against that yet because we got to develop our technologies first for around that. So that's where the issue lies.
Without a doubt. So we'll talk about, and I think that kind of segues into the whole space race thing. Mm-hmm. You got like Virgin Galactic, you got, what's Elon? SpaceX?
Yep.
Bezos is Blue Origin, right? I mean, those are like the 3 big ones right now. And all 3 of those kind of started off with the intentions of just, I don't know if SpaceX has actually shot a human being into outer space yet, have they?
Not.
So just Virgin...
SpaceX has.
SpaceX has?
Yeah.
Virgin Galactic has, and I know Blue Origin has, but SpaceX has as well?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of how they're all starting off. And I've heard a lot of people say that they're interested in investing in those kind of speculative companies. I think Virgin Galactic is the only one that you can actually invest in because it's publicly traded right now. But it's not as much for like the consumer to pay $250 or $500 whatever it's going to cost to go in outer space. It's more or less what are the additional capabilities that space travel can bring to private business as opposed to government, right? Because space used to just be for the government. Now it's for private businesses as well, which is kind of interesting. So let's not get into that yet. Let's get back to China. Yep. Okay. So the main thing that I'm concerned with regards to China, and we talked about this on last week's episode where we talked about their 100-year plan and why the U.S. doesn't have a 100-year plan. Like we just literally try to deal with the issues right in front of us and sacrifice anything 10, 20, 30 years down the road, right? That all gets jeopardized. So we talked about their 100-year plan. And look, there's no question about it. They intend on not 100 years from today, but rather a few years from today, they intend on becoming the world's economic superpower. However, I think we can all also agree that even though they haven't said this, they also want to become the world's military superpower as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you factor in what they're doing with these missile tests, with the, their strength they're trying to show to the world and the United States right now because they're able to.
Yep.
And this is a direct reflection of, I think, the current administration not being able to flex our muscles and show the world what we can do.
Yep.
When Trump was in office, nobody wanted to mess with us.
Exactly.
China
we were respected and feared.
Yeah, it's all about respect, right? That's the key word.
Well, there's no respect. When you claim that the number one threat to national security is climate change, and you fall asleep during the meeting, there's no respect and there's no fear.
Yeah. Yep.
He's an ass. He's completely unfit to run the country. A lot of people said the same thing about Trump because he was mean and rude. So what? The dude was mean and rude. You don't have to have him over for dinner.
Right.
And I'm not saying Trump should run again in 2024. In fact, I'm thinking maybe he shouldn't, right? I mean, you look at what Glenn Youngkin just did in Virginia, and he approached it with more of a Tim Cook kind of persona, wearing the vest, right? He came across to me as a down-to-earth dude who's respectful and who you could have over for dinner. And I'm not saying like that's the guy who's going to be the next president, but maybe Trump was like Trump. I think he did a great job. I think his policies were fantastic, but he rubbed a lot of people who were close to center, whether it be left of center or right of center. He rubbed those people the wrong way. So yeah, I mean, with Biden, there's absolutely no fear. There's no respect anymore. It's a big problem, and you don't have anyone to back him up. If you were to remove him from office, you got cackling Kamala stepping up to the plate.
That's not any better. It might even be worse.
That's a complete joke.
But I mean, that's the thing is other countries think they can push us around and bully us right now. And, a lot of people in what I think could be the possibility and what I'm concerned about is that this could be another Sputnik moment from like the 50s, right?
That's what a lot of people have been saying.
So,
right?
Where this could launch a whole nother kind of Cold War era to where we're competing
now it's not the Soviet Union, it's China, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's China against the world.
Yep.
It really is. Like, Russia and China, they could be partners down the road. Who knows? But right now, I think almost every country out there is intimidated by China. I mean, they're coming up fast. They're going fast.
And it's weird, man, because, yeah, you're right. The countries are probably intimidated by China. Not even a blip of an apology from China regarding COVID-19. Yeah. Just, I don't understand them. And then you've got corporations here in the U.S. bowing down to China, right? Like, let's take Nike as an example. And I hate to beat up Nike because I love the company. We own it in our portfolios. Fantastic company. They've got their direct-to-consumer model down. They've got digital order.
Yeah, I know you don't like Under Armour, Mark. I know you're always hating on their shoes, but
not a huge.
Their shoes are terrible.
Come on, I got one pair. Mark.
So Luke's got like a non-athletic shoe from Under Armour, more of like a canvas kind of.
I think like a skater kind of shoe, like
skater,
kind of like a Van.
And those are like during today's more casual dress era at work. Like I think those actually work. You don't see the big stupid Under Armour logo on the side. If I saw the logo, we'd have problems.
Yeah, but I wear them to work a lot. So I'm wearing them right now.
See, I like.
They're getting old though now. I need a new pair.
You got to upgrade, dude.
I was specifically talking about the basketball shoes, which are terrible.
They are disgusting. All right, so Nike, if you remember a few years back, they had the whole Colin Kaepernick thing. All right, Colin Kaepernick did what he did, and he took a knee or whatever he did, didn't stand up for the national anthem, turned his back on the flag. I forget exactly what he did, but we all know.
A lot of disrespectful things.
Yeah, we all know what he did. And then Nike kind of got behind him, right? Nike got behind him, but at the same point in time, the people that are making Nike's apparel and shoes, that's a slave labor workforce in Asia. Like, do you care about humanitarian issues? Do you care about human rights? Yes or no?
They care about the perception.
It's all the perception and the optics.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're in the business to make money.
Yep.
Any business is in the business to make money. If they're not making money, they don't survive. They go out of business. So a lot of these businesses will do whatever it takes for the optics, for the perspective. They'll say something, but they're hypocrites.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, huge hypocrites, you know. All right, so let's kind of move on to the next thing. So, I mean, we talked about, you know, economic superpower, military superpower. We talked about this hypersonic missile. We're going to get to the whole space part of it in the back half of this show. But I think one of the major investment themes that I actually mentioned on Varney this morning that I think is going to be a big theme in 2022 and beyond is the U.S., actually the U.S. and the world decoupling from China. No longer relying on having our supply chains, you know, dependent upon China. And I think that that's going to lead to, you know, a lot of supply chain stuff coming back here to the United States where it's going to be a bit more expensive. Or probably Mexico, where things are going to be a little more affordable. And you got the new USMCA agreement that replaced NAFTA. I think that's probably what happens. But then to kind of segue into another investment theme that I think that's going to be big in 2022 and beyond is as we are considering bringing some of the supply chain back to the United States, and we have people digging their heels in, sitting on their couches saying, I'm not going to work for anything less than a living wage, that's where you get to the next level of a key investment theme, which is robotics and automation. Like, dude, if you don't want to work, we will have technology replace you. Yeah. So D, as a science geek, you should appreciate that.
Yeah, have you seen these robotic dogs, you know, running around?
No.
The videos on the internet?
No.
They're terrifying.
I saw a video of somebody attaching a weapon or a gun to the dog. And that was even more terrifying. It's like some Terminator stuff happening.
Yeah,
you know?
It's Terminator stuff.
Yeah, we can't do that. That's not good at all.
Skynet's coming, man.
It really is. Yeah.
That's
and
scary.
what it's not Boston Scientific. It might be. I'll have to look up the name, but these robot dogs they're terrifying.
Are they?
Yeah, and they're running around. I believe a foreign government somewhere in Europe, I can't recall, they started using these to patrol for like the COVID-19 restrictions.
So instead of RoboCop, you have RoboDog?
Yes.
Jeez.
That's what that, you know, I think we're in the beginning stages of RoboCop is really what it comes down to.
Oof.
Yep.
It's ugly.
But I think of like getting back to the point Mark was making here too about the automation combined with the fact that we're leaving China and going in all kinds of different areas. This is going to provide a lot of wealth creation. I mean, this is another step of us going down the path of technology, artificial intelligence, the automation, the cloud computing. All this is going to comes together and creates even more wealth if you get into it early, right?
Yeah.
So that's why we're That's the whole point of investing is trying to be one of the first movers into the space.
Yep.
And if you identify that Mexico is the next place that institutions are going to invest their money, or companies are going to move their warehouses and workers from China to Mexico, not only are they going to make more money doing that because it's probably cheaper, because it's cheaper to ship across the border from Mexico than travel across seas from China. That also allows them to make more money, which then means more innovation for them to create new ideas and new products. Yep. So it's a whole round robin effect, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. Anything else we want to hit on with regards to China and this hypersonic missile before we kind of segue into the space conversation?
Maybe we should just repeat it. Like they came up with a missile that shoots into space and then comes back down from space and blows stuff up.
Like that's nuclear capabilities.
Yes.
Why did they do that?
Because they're trying to become a military superpower.
Correct.
Like we need to start paying attention.
Now I do want to end on a positive note with this conversation.
You got a good one.
Now the research does suggest that they only have about 1/10 of the nuclear weapons that the United States has or the Russia has. So 1/10 of both countries. So even it's probably like 1/100th of us combined, right?
Yeah.
So that's a positive thing that they don't have a ton of nuclear weapons. I think the research does suggest that if they were to launch all of their missiles at us right now, basically would do no damage because we do have the capability to deflect most of them.
Yeah.
But if they fully develop that technology, that would be the issue. But right now, I think we're pretty good.
And then you got North Korea kind of ramping things back up too. After we had Kim Jong-un in check throughout Trump's presidency. Remember when he died a couple times?
I do remember that, actually.
He died a couple times.
We don't even know if he's alive.
We have no idea if it's still the same dude.
Well, didn't he get really skinny? He looks completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's kind of like when the Ultimate Warrior came back.
Completely deflated.
It deflated, a little flabby, and he wore a singlet when he came back.
I do remember that.
Remember? Man, like, was it the same guy? Now we find out years later it was still the same guy. He just came off the steroids. Kim Jong-un, yeah.
He did steroids, man. He could have done steroids. But the opposite of steroids, I guess. The ones that don't make you strong. The ones that make you kind of fluffy.
All right, so let's move into the whole space impact. I kind of touched on, you got SpaceX, you got Bezos' Blue Origin, you got Virgin Galactic with Richard Branson, SpaceX's Elon Musk. So you got all of these billionaires who are shooting people into outer space to start, right? And then there's all these additional capabilities that come out of it. And Virgin Galactic in particular is one that I do own as a very speculative play in my personal account. I don't even pay attention to the stock. I mean, it's more of like a 10. It either 10x's for me or it goes to zero. I really don't care because I hold it in such a small percentage.
Sounds like Bitcoin.
It's diamond hands.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're supposedly developing hypersonic. We're getting right back into that hypersonic word. Hypersonic aircraft. So you're talking about a flight from New York to LA. That right now, maybe that's like a 5.5 hour flight, maybe. I don't know. It's about 5 hours from Cleveland to LA. So New York to LA, 5.5 hours. Like, dude, that might become an hour-long flight.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. We did this in the 70s with Concordia.
That was
right?
supersonic, which was a little slower than hypersonic. Yes, and that there were some issues with the Concorde.
I'm pretty sure like it wasn't safe at all.
Yeah. So we need to see if the human body can travel at Mach 5 speeds, right? Because is that what hypersonic is? Mach 5.
I don't know, you might have to go some of that training, like you see like astronauts go through, where they have to like sit in the simulators, and then you see their face just completely caved in, like
until they pass
who knows?
out.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we'll see something like that. I don't know.
Jeez, oh man. Could you imagine going through all that astronaut training to go into outer space for 10 seconds?
No.
I think it'd be kind of.
I mean, William Shatner was just like enamored with the experience, and I'm thinking like, was it really that cool?
Well,
you were there for 10 seconds.
His whole life though was based on Star Trek.
Yeah. For him to finally say
exactly.
For him, I think it probably hit home a little more than everyone else.
Means way more for him.
Man, I love our new format because I don't even remember what we're talking about anymore. Like we get off topic and we start.
A bunch of billionaires that want to spend their money.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because Luke, you had in your notes that which Prince William says billionaires shouldn't be allowed to invest their money to advance society. Is that for real?
That sounds completely like it is real, but it sounds something that is very illogical and doesn't make any sense at all. Well, it's all about advancing society. It not only does it make our lives better and easier, but it also allows us to explore what's all out there and understand the scientifics behind the universe. Like it's not only beneficial from us to live here, from living here on Earth, but it's beneficial for the future of humans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and basically what Prince William said was we shouldn't be spending money. Even though it's not his money, we shouldn't be spending money because there's the global environmental crisis. We should be tackling that first before we're going out into space, which I think that I put that in there, and it's really been bothering me for like 3 days now.
And that's very relevant to what just happened with Elon Musk pledging $6 billion to solve world hunger if the UN can prove what that money was going to be spent for and how it helped solve world hunger.
See that.
But the thing is, all these companies, if we're addressing climate change issues or addressing world hunger, whatever it be, a lot of these nonprofit organizations will say, "Oh, this amount will solve this problem." And then you really do the research, and that amount is nowhere close to that number because what they're using that money for is essentially funding their inefficient program and funding their own salary.
Elon Musk called them out for that. And this is a great tangent because it was awesome. But I think it was a CNN article that said, all we need is $6 billion, and that will solve the global hunger issue, completely solve it.
And he's like, I got my checkbook.
Yep. He's like, okay, just let me know. Send me a plan. I got your $6 bill right here. And then everyone scrambles because obviously it's not true.
They're all these politicians are liars. That's why like the whole Glenn Youngkin thing, which since we're recording it the day he officially won the election, even though it'll be out a week later. I love these politicians who are not politicians.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, I want a guy who's a business leader or a gal who's a business leader, business owner, a mover and a shaker, someone who knows that in order for dollars to go out, dollars have to come in first.
Well,
right?
they're the most efficient at allocating capital.
Without a doubt.
Elon Musk is the best capital allocator in the entire world, maybe in the history of humankind.
Let me
he
ask
doesn't even
you.
look at money as money.
All right, so Elon Musk, if he were to run for president in 2024, do you think he'd win?
Yes, but he would never do that. He doesn't want to.
It's a hypothetical. I know he wouldn't. But do you guys think a guy like that would win?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do. I think he would win.
Yep.
Yeah.
As opposed to someone like The Rock, who's been floated out there, or celebrities, like we've been talking about this as a society. I mean, I remember my parents talking about it. We need not my parents specifically, but having conversations about having a business person run government, because that's what it should really come down to.
Government is a business.
Yes.
There's people on payroll.
It's the biggest
it's
business
a business
out there. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why, sometimes it's not really a political debate, but the Democrats' plan is always, these people have too much money and you guys down here at the bottom don't have enough. We're going to take the money off at the top and we're going to give it to the people at the bottom. To be honest with you, if that was the actual plan, I would even be a little bit more behind that. But that is not even what comes remotely close to happening ever. So they take the money, they tax the money, whether it's personal, corporation, they take it and they fund these programs that don't actually do anything for the people.
Because the money doesn't go straight. It's not like, hey, Bob and Sue who are only making 10 grand a year, here's 20 grand. Spend it how you please.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't.
But even if
But
it
you
did,
know what? Some dumb voters think it actually works that way.
But even if it did work that way, it still wouldn't work because they don't allocate capital to create more wealth.
Well, and there's I don't want to disrespect anyone who's in the bottom, let's say, decile of earnings, but my guess, and I'm sure there's got to be research to back this up, if you were to give every single one of those people a free $10,000 check or whatever it might be, 3 years from today, 5 years from today, 10 years from today, they'd still be in the bottom decile.
Right.
Yeah. They're not innovators. They don't know how to take the bull by its horns. They're not self-starters. They're yes men. They need someone to tell them what to do, and then they don't want to do it either. There's a reason they're in the bottom decile, and the only way you can climb out of the bottom decile is to want it. And to put in the time and effort to try and climb out of the basement, right?
Yeah. On Derek's point, if you take the three richest guys on this paper in regards to this space race, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, I mean, how many jobs are they supplying? How much in salaries are they paying, right? And then not only that, where they're investing money, the space race, or Tesla for Elon Musk, or all of the Richard Branson's other companies that he owns. They're also innovating, creating more wealth for future generations, right? I mean, that's the thing. Allocation of capital is not only just about making money and losing money. It's about making better lives for everybody here.
Yeah.
And the best spot to do that, I don't know that answer. But what I do know is, given Elon Musk and Richard Branson, Jeff Bezos' track record, space could prove to be a great resource for resources, as well as supplying jobs and wealth creation. I mean, whether that be landing on an asteroid and mining it or going to Mars.
So I'm looking at the advantages and disadvantages of space exploration that one of you threw on the notes page here. And as I read through the pros, it's a lot of fluff. It's, well, we might meet some aliens and become friends with them.
That would be sweet, though.
We may find other planets to colonize. Yeah. But what I really heard is there could be substantial advancements in science and technology. And look, I'm not smart enough to understand it, but there are things from a pharmaceutical or a medical standpoint that can be done in space products developed, new drugs developed, diseases cured that can't be done here on Earth. I'm not smart enough to understand how that's possible and how it happens, but that's what I've been told. And I'm dumb enough to believe what I'm told sometimes.
No, exactly. Well, you hit the nail on the head when it comes to humans in general. We're still stupid as a species. Like we're not very smart. We still got a lot of growth to do. Like we're way ahead of where we were a couple hundred years ago.
Those dog robots might be smarter than us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just, my point is that we don't know what's all out there yet. Like there's a lot of work we got to do. And this is one of the first steps we need to take to really understand more about, even why we're here. We can get into really philosophical questions about that stuff.
Yeah.
But what about Elon Musk with electric cars? Like we wouldn't really have the technology that we have right now without him. And we only got that because this country allows for innovation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't see anyone from one of the Scandinavian countries that is always brought up in the socialism debate. You don't see any of those countries
They're not
throwing
leaders
out
and
innovation.
innovators. No, they're definitely not leaders and innovators.
But I mean, we've gotten completely off topic now.
Well, no, this is actually pretty relevant.
Capitalism has problems. Like, I understand that. But it sure as heck beats the alternative.
Yeah, there's no perfect system out there. But capitalism, it creates wealth. And that leads into our kind of next topic.
But capitalism, like all the problems that where people say capitalism is problematic, I think a lot of it boils back to what I just talked about, which is you've got the bottom decile people who think capitalism is unfair, but they have every opportunity available to them to climb out of the cellar. They have every opportunity available. And if we were to give them each $10,000, 3, 5, 10 years from today, they'd still be in the cellar. Nothing will have changed. And that's because they don't value the capitalist mindset.
Yeah.
They don't think that way.
It's work ethic, but there are things that need to be, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but there are things that need to be fixed though, from currently where the society's at, what we're doing. I mean, one of the things, just because I am younger, I still have buddies that are still paying off college debt.
Yeah.
That have racked up $200,000 in college debt.
Yeah.
Right. When these people go to college, it's like since high school, it's pushed on to people. Go to college.
Yeah.
Go to 4 years. Pay $50,000 a year. Like that's the other issue. So there are fundamental issues that probably need.
All right. So
That's a good topic for another show.
But that is a topic.
We need to touch on that real quick because I've got some stuff I want to say about that. So as far as college goes.
Yeah.
I think we're already at a turning point
For sure.
with regards to how much employers value college education. If I saw an ideal prospective employee, I really wouldn't care whether or not he or she had a college education. I don't care at this point because I know how stupid college is.
Yeah.
Like Dee and I went to John Carroll, a local, Cleveland-based Division III school, probably had 1,000 kids in our class, very small. And it was a liberal arts school, so we had to do all those stupid core curriculum classes, right? And it was 4 years. And as soon as you changed majors once, good luck getting done in 4 years. So now you're on to at least 4.5 or 5 years, depending on when you changed majors. And let's face it, very few of the people that I know and whatever they thought they were going to major in on the first day of freshman orientation ended up with that degree, right? Almost everyone changes. But don't you think, Dee, you and I, and Luke, I'll ask you too, don't you think like the three of us would be better off in our profession right now if we would have just done like a 18-month CFA curriculum?
100%.
Now the CFA curriculum is a 3-year curriculum because it's designed for people who are working full-time jobs. But if I don't have a full-time job and I am able to sit there and study full-time, I think I could have potentially gotten through that, 6 months, 6 months, 6 months, each of the 3 levels, and I would be better. I would have valued that education more than a 4-year college degree.
I think you're in a very similar situation, but it's also costs a lot less. What I think is the ultimate thing to do was to move to a big city and network your ass off.
Networking is so underrated.
Is the most important value thing. And that's when I talk about my college experience, I don't talk about the classes. I don't talk about what I learned. I talk about who I met.
Yeah.
That's what changed my life, because that's where I met you, Mark.
Yeah.
Essentially, is because I moved to CNBC in New York City.
Yep.
Because I knew the editor-in-chief of CNBC. He was a board of trustee at my college. I networked with him, and he's like, Luke, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Yeah.
So I asked him for an internship, moved to New York. You were going on CNBC 4 times a week. I saw Mark on TV. I was like, this guy's a pretty cool dude. I'd love to like connect with him. And then here I am up here in Cleveland now, working for you. So, it's all about networking.
And I just had my cousin who's a senior in high school. I did dinner with him, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. And the question was posed to me, what do you wish you would have known going away to college that you know now that you didn't know then? And it's, doing your classwork is important, but the most powerful thing in the world is networking.
Exactly. And that's, and again, I don't want to go any further on this topic because I know we want to talk about something else.
Yeah, we got to.
But what I do want to say though is that is the most important thing. And you have to ask yourself, the cost of college, is it going to provide you those networking opportunities? And is it going to pay for itself through those networking opportunities?
All right, so let's put that one on the docket to do a full expanded show on that. Because I think there's certainly some good things to talk about, right?
Yep.
All right, let's move on to the tax and spend program.
Yep.
Build Back Better, BBB, Green New Deal, whatever we want to call it. Reckless spending, right? The part I want to talk about it is this. Biden claims that this thing is free. It's $3.5 trillion. $3.5 trillion in spending that he says is free. It's already paid for.
Grows on trees.
Money grows on trees, in case you didn't know.
Yep. So
right?
Biden thinks.
That's I got to teach my kids that all the time. I didn't know I had to teach
my parents are very
President
wrong.
Biden.
My parents were very wrong.
Yeah.
They told me about that when I was young. I call it them, every week now. I'm like, hey, money grows on trees. I'm pretty sure you were wrong.
That's hilarious. So obviously there's a cost associated with this program. And just as we talked about, guys, the $3.5 trillion in increased tax dollars, it's not going to go to the bottom decile people. Hey guys, here's $3.5 trillion. Now you're in like the middle of the pack. It doesn't work that way. They're going to shove solar panels down our throat or whatever it might be, right? All the social infrastructure stuff and Green New Deal stuff.
That doesn't work yet.
Right. That almost sounded like the Zoolander voice. That doesn't work yet.
You did that, by the way.
What is this?
You did that pretty well, by the way, like 2 days ago.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. But you were getting flack on Twitter. Everyone didn't understand it.
They thought, because Stu asked if it was he's like, that was a terrible British accent. And I'm like,
you thought it was British?
So I should go old school and buy Stu the Zoolander DVD, since he's probably got a DVD player.
Yeah.
Should I do that?
Absolutely.
Give it to him.
I think you could do that voice, and it'd be very relevant if you did it with Biden's mentality. I don't know. I can't do the voice very well, so I'm not even going to try to do it. But something along the lines with that voice of saying, who cares if we only spend like $3 trillion? Like, it's only going to be fine.
So that kind of reminds me of how are we supposed to fit them in the building? Is this the school for ants? It must be at least 3 times bigger.
He's absolutely right.
But
how are we supposed to teach the kids to read good if they can't even fit in the building?
So kids already don't know about Zoolander?
Yeah.
Is that what was going on Twitter?
No, it
was more of the baby boomer plus generation.
Okay.
I think the sweet spot's like 20 to 35, 40. Like, that's a sweet spot of people.
He changed the 35 to 40.
I
He's already
already
told us.
changed
Calling
to
us old
40.
to our faces.
Yep.
Awesome.
Had to get close to roping us in.
I had to.
The old rope a dope. All right, so I mean the cost is zero, but this is also coming from a dude who has a complete lack of credibility after snoozing and taking a nap in the middle of the biggest convention for what he claims is the #1 national security threat. Right? I mean, the guy's got zero credibility.
Yep.
And that's why his polling numbers are dropping. That's probably what gave Glenn Youngkin an advantage, a slight advantage. I think a lot of Glenn Youngkin's victory came from just who he is as a person and him zeroing in on the issues that are actually important to people, and more importantly, having a game plan to address those issues.
Right.
The whole circular argument, talking in circles crap, like, we expect that from lifelong politicians. That's what they do.
Right.
They talk, and they never get anything done. Like, this guy wants to focus on improving the economy and making sure education is where it needs to be. right?
Yeah, I think I saw something actually when I was doing some research on this topic along the lines of, we all knew somebody growing up, that always had the nicest car, the nicest car, the nicest new toy, whatever it be. And it was because that, their family bought it for them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of the mentality that kind of Joe Biden's going about this. Like, oh, it's not going to cost you guys anything because it's already paid for. Yeah, it's paid for big brother of the government, but it's not actually paid for because we're going to pay for it down the road, whether that be through higher taxes or, he's saying that he's only going to tax the rich and you're not going to tax anybody less than making $400,000 a year. But we were just talking about capital allocation from Jeff Bezos, from Elon Musk and all these big guys, but also the small businesses that allocate capital just as well are going to be very greatly impacted by the rising corporate taxes, by the owners making less than $400,000. They're not going to be able to allocate their capital as properly, not going to be able to supply as many jobs. That's going to impact everybody.
All right. So from an economic growth standpoint, is our economy better positioned with $1 billion in the hands of Jeff Bezos to invest in innovation, even if it doesn't work? To invest in innovation that could potentially create hundreds of thousands of jobs down the road? Or is that $1 billion better that we take it from Jeff Bezos and give it to the bottom decile to go spend at Walmart?
In every scenario, it's Jeff Bezos. Like
every scenario.
Every single scenario. Even if he puts it in his pocket and does nothing with it, it's even better because he is going to invest that money somewhere. Whether it's allocating it back to one of his own businesses or put it into the market or something like that, it's going to be net beneficial because
it's sitting in a bank account earning 1%, and the bank is loaning it out to young 22-year-old kids who are trying to start their first business through the SBA program.
Exactly.
It all works. It all works. So yes, the money is better in Bezos' hand, and we need to stop demonizing people who are successful. There's nothing wrong with being a billionaire. In fact, if you think about it, when you're a little kid, and every little kid wants to be like a doctor or a lawyer for the most part, because they think doctors make good money or their parents told them doctors make good money. So before a little kid knows anything about politics and anything about different deciles as it relates to income and net worth and stuff like that, every single kid, if you ask them like what they want to be and why they want to be it, they all want to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
So that is inherent. That's inherently programmed inside of us to want to win, to want to succeed, to want to make as much money as possible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's when you grow up and you're afraid to try, or you tried once and you failed and you didn't get back up and rub some dirt on it and go back at it again. Now you've decided that you want someone else to help you.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, am I off target there?
No, you're exactly right. And the thing is though, many of these billionaires, not all of them, many of these billionaires don't care about money at all anymore. Like they why do you think Warren Buffett drives a Honda Civic and goes to McDonald's every single day? They don't care about money, but they understand, many of them understand that they are the best business people in the world. They know how to allocate $1 the most efficient way properly compared to the government. And that's why a lot of these guys, they continue to grow. They don't ever stop. You would think once they reach to billions of dollars in net worth that they would just stop and go live on their own island. The reason they don't do that is because they love what they do. And
it's a chess game, dude.
It is. And it's a strategy game. Yeah. And they understand that a lot of people are relying on them. Their employees, the businesses that they've created, which is essentially their children. I'd even put Elon Musk's Tesla and SpaceX up there with all of his children. They're in the same place. That's his
baby.
That's his baby.
Yeah.
So they look at it that way. They don't look at it as I don't need to make any more money. I need to support everybody else that relies and all the stakeholders that rely on my businesses to operate efficiently.
Yep.
And that's, if it's kind of a little bit corny if you really get into it, but Richard Branson with the Virgin Galactic and then the space flight and everything, it was it was like a lifelong dream, that his family shared to see space, right? And he went out there and he got it done.
Yeah.
It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took 11, 12, 15 years. And he did it. You know, even if you're saying to yourself right now, man, these guys might know what they're talking about, but there is a global climate crisis, and we need to address it. The same question could be asked. Should we give that $1 billion to the government to fix, or should we give that $1 million to Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk to fix that problem?
Private.
Yeah, private every time.
Private investment.
And the portion that some people will make money off of those projects is okay. That's what has to happen to get to the end goal.
Yeah, right. Profits aren't bad.
Yeah, profits are good because they get reinvested to create new things.
But they're so short-sighted, they don't even understand that, right?
Well, one thing, and I think we're probably nearing the end of the show,
Yep.
but one thing I want to end on is I saw something the other day, and it described Elon Musk perfectly. The reason why Elon Musk is the richest person in the world isn't because he's the best business person or even the best salesperson. It's because he sells dreams.
Yeah,
that's what he does. He literally everything he does, like when it comes to connecting our brains to AI, like that's a dream. Like that's like something you can think about. Like wow, that would be really like freaking cool. Or hey, I'm gonna be able to go travel to Mars and live on Mars. Like that's a kind of a dream, like for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna change the climate and make it more green by creating electric cars and building out the infrastructure with solar panels and things. That's a dream. He sells dreams.
But he sells a dream with a plan to help you to realize that dream. It's one thing to sell a dream like, hey, man, maybe one day you'll be in outer space, versus I'm going to make it happen. I've got a plan for making it happen. Now, not everyone's going to be able to afford it because it's going to be expensive, but I am going to make it available, right?
And the cool thing is, he's reaching he's $250 billion in net worth right now. Like he's reaching the point to where he's got a lot of capital, more capital than probably some governments even have.
Yeah.
And he's so good at allocating that. I believe in him, man.
Yeah.
I believe, and that's why you look at Tesla's stock, why it's traded at such a high valuation, because everyone believes in them.
Yeah.
He's just, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, he does.
That's why Dogecoin went to the moon, right?
It's just right. Shiba Inu, Dogecoin.
Hilarious. All right, anything else before we wrap up? Final thoughts?
No.
Not for me, Mark.
All right. Well, hey, thanks everyone for joining us for our 100th episode today. We appreciate it. If you haven't listened to the first 99, go listen to them now. Send us that 5-star review. We've gotten no reviews lately.
None.
There's absolutely no reason to order new swag. We got to get some reviews. So you got to send us a review, info@swpconnect.com. If you want us to cover anything in a future show, email us there as well. And we look forward to talking to you next week. Thanks.
The opinions expressed in the podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any investment, legal, financial, or tax strategy. It is only intended to provide education about the financial industry. Please consult a qualified professional about your individual needs.